afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fourth ShawsTalks webinar in our Ask the Expert series. Today's topic is the serious business of play. My name is Dana Newman. I am the enrollment manager for Shaws Preschool Group. I have a bit of history at Shaws, as two of my own children attended Shaws all the way through K2. We feel fortunate to have had amazing teachers and principals along the way and really feel that Shaws helped instill a love of learning and enthusiasm for school in our children. As a parent, I just knew my kids loved to go to school. They had fun, they felt welcome, they felt loved, they had friends. So it was only after joining Shaws on the other side have I realized how intensive a play-based curriculum needs to be in order to be effective and meaningful and successful. Our guest speaker today, Ms. Serina Tues, is a key part of developing our Shaws play curriculum. To give a brief outline of today's session, we have Serina speaking with us about today's topic, which is a serious play. We will then have a brief question and answer session to follow. We invite you to use the chat functions, and we will try to get through as many questions as possible today. And with that, we're proud to introduce you to Serina Tues, Curriculum Specialist for Shaws Preschool Group. Serina started her career in early childhood right here at Shaws way back in 2005. She holds a degree in engineering as well as a Master of Science in early childhood. Serina has taught from pre-nursery through kindergarten 2 before becoming vice principal at Shaws, then on to curriculum director, and her current role as curriculum specialist. Serina does training for our fantastic group of teachers and has helped the team transition to home-based learning and then back into schools with social distancing, and now is doing online training for the teaching team across our 5 schools to really help them to continue to deliver quality curriculum in the classrooms. Serina is the proud mother of 2, and although you would never be able to tell by looking at her, her children are 20 and 23 now. She loves to sing, bake, and recently even sew in her spare time. So thank you for joining us today, Serina.
Thank you, Dana, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So the work environment has changed for many of us in recent months. How have you been coping with this work from home arrangement yourself?
It was quite all right, actually. I've been quite accustomed to working from home with Shaws, but the new challenge is actually training teachers online fully. So all lessons and activities are delivered and carried out online real time. So by the end of the first few classes, I was flat. I made sure everyone at home just stay away from me.
And as a trainer, you always have to be up for the teams, right? You're always keeping up the enthusiasm, even during really difficult times. So how do you deal with the stress on your own time?
Well, I sew and make my own personal care products when I have a break on weekends or even some evenings to myself. I would just sit in front of the TV and just sew. Nothing fanciful. I just put together old clothes and repurpose them. And I don't have a sewing machine, so I did everything hand stitched. And I enjoy it. It's fun for me. It's de-stressing as far as I'm concerned. So this is play for me, just like how young children need play.
Okay, that is going. It's good to know that you're able to relax and unwind even after your extremely full schedule. It's also a great reminder how an activity can be fun and useful. But here's the million-dollar question and the reason why everyone is here today. What is play? What's the definition of play?
Well, okay, play to me should be something or a process, something you want to do, and something that brings you joy and happiness, like my sewing does to me. So as I sit there and sew, I enjoyed the process. I enjoyed thinking how I could put this and that together to make something new. So I get immense pleasure knowing that I can wear something after all this is done.
And would this definition of play be the same for young children?
Yes, pretty much, and much more actually. Children are born to be playful and will seek every opportunity to check out their surroundings. It is children's job to play.
So if play is enjoyable and happy, why do you call it serious business?
Well, because play is by no means frivolous or just play, you know. when children play, they are developing in many, many areas. At the foundation level, children are developing their executive repeat the same mistakes until they achieve what they set out to do. So we take the simple example of a construction play. So when children try to build something with blocks or anything that they can find, in this case, maybe the kitchen tower roll. So the tower keeps falling and they'll have to experiment with the different ways to stack the tower so that it will not fall. So I'm sure you can remember how happy your children were when they managed to build a tall tower. So, but of course, this is also provided that adults do not provide the answers too quickly. Children will not be pushed to try if the solution comes too easily for them. So as Jean Piaget says, each time when one prematurely teaches a child something that he could have discovered himself, that child is kept from inventing it and consequently from understanding it completely. Okay.
You mentioned earlier that children develop in areas through play. Can you touch a bit on what you mean by that?
Okay, play is essential in developing skill sets that's needed in this 21st century, actually. So what skill sets are we talking about here? We are actually talking about someone who is knowledgeable, able to collaborate, communicate, and think critically in all situations and be creative. This person should also be confident in his or her dealings. So let us use our mud kitchen as an example, okay, of a backdrop here, right? So for mud kitchen, we are talking about sociodramatic play, social play. When children come together to play, they need to work together with the resources that they have, so that's collaboration. But they want the mud kitchen to be a cafe, a restaurant, that's it would be real or imagination. So when it's imagination means they have to create it, right? Okay. So during the process, each child gets to pitch in his or her own ideas based on his or her knowledge. And with time, when they're doing this over time, confidence grow. So I will always remember this K2 child I taught years back. So while teaching about money concept, right, I let the children use all the toys and materials in the classroom. So they get to use things from the home corner, they pull out the building blocks and the books from the reading corner to set up their own stalls. So I also prepared some real coins for the children. So after some negotiation and drawing lots, half the class got to pretend to be seller and the other half customer. And then when when all the money are used up, they will swap roles, okay? So everyone started preparing for his or her part, but this one girl just wandered around, took a chair and set it along this passageway that leads to the toilet. So I asked her, I said, why are you not shopping like the rest? So she told me, she said she preferred to be the shopkeeper, but the roles were all taken up. So the next thing I know, a child came along and wanted to go to the toilet and she put out her hand and asked for 20 cents. And lo and behold, the classmate just gave it to her. So she has creatively solved the problem herself, and the rest were totally happy to collaborate with her. It really took a lot of confidence for her to try this out, without even discussing with the classmates, and the children all had so much fun. So this is a very good example of how this girl imitated what she saw in real life, solved her own problem, and if we all remember locally, may go to toilet at the hawker center, some ask for 20 cents, right, before you can go in, and she's just doing exactly that.
Smart, clever girl,
Yes.
Great entrepreneur. So Serina, what you've described here, it seems more applicable for older children, as they can discuss, they can negotiate, they can collaborate. Is it the same for younger children as well?
So now we need to look into what's developmentally appropriate for their age. So for the younger children, where they are more focused on self, it's all about me, self. So we definitely cannot expect them to be negotiating with their peers, but the foundation level of foundation of developing executive function still stands. So the earlier example of construction play is actually very applicable to young children. So remember, it's the process and not the end product. And when we re-look at the definition of play again, so play should be something or process that's enjoyable, something you want to do, and something that brings you joy and happiness. So maybe this next example will be more relatable to parents with toddlers. So the toddlers in Shaws are exposed to activities like pegging, scooping, pouring, scribbling, painting, etc. So as they scoop and pour from one container to another, maybe they fail, they couldn't aim properly, and then they try again, and they fail, and they try again. And this is what we call mastery play. So remembering that younger children have an even shorter attention span, they will move on from one activity to the next, okay, very, very quickly. So if they do not enjoy, there is very little one can do to force them through this. So this is why we have a variety of such setups for young children. So each child has his or her own favorite. And if you look at the photos in the slide that we have now, this boy, he's actually just doing his mastery play, practicing with pouring, but he was interested to find out how the water flows down to affect that wheel that's turning there, the turbine that's turning there. And the little girl who's pegging, she's probably seen what her aunties or moms did at home, wash the towel, hang out and peg. And while she's pegging, she's practicing refining her fine motor skills.
Such concentration that they have, right? It's so cute. Even in the midst of play, they're really looking for the results. So the benefit of preschools is definitely the variety of activities. And you've been talking a lot about what happens in the schools. How about at home? You know, with all the play at school, do they really still need to play at home, or should children still continue to play?
Definitely. See, you have to agree that Singapore, being a developing country or developed country, is very, very fast paced, right? Stress does not solely belong to adults. Children get stressed too, just from the amount of rushing they experience daily from home to school, school to home, and then home to extracurricular activities, or maybe home to grandma's, then grandma to extracurricular activity, then back to home again. So when parents come home from work, right, they want to relax and de-stress. It's the same for children, and play is a form of de-stressing for them. So it allows them to build a safe and stable environment and relationship with the people that they are interacting with. And this helps to buffer against stress. So the benefits of children playing with parents or any significant adults versus children playing with their peers are the same.
Okay, all right. So that comes as a relief to many of us parents. How has play changed with your children over the years, Serina?
Well, my kids are 20 and 23 now, so we cook together sometimes. Sometimes we watch and discuss movie, and we have playful debates on topics like evolution versus creation. Yeah, university students, what do you expect? So, but when we were younger, I must say that I'm not a very playful mother. Okay, my husband was better at playing with them when they were kids. And we were talking about really loud and rambunctious type of play. I only became a little bit more playful after I started my career as a preschool teacher. So when I first started as a teacher, I did not play as much. So as time goes, my kids were like 5 and 8, right? And I start to plan, enjoy and start to plan cooking and painting activities for them. So I remember I will always set this low table in our tiny kitchen. The kitchen is so tiny that you just turn one round and can reach everything, you know. And when the children came home from school, they would just roll their own pizza, add their own toppings, and then we'll send it to the oven, then we have lunch. So the kitchen was in a constant state of mess, but it's part of their learning process. But knowing what I now know, I mean, that's a form of play too.
What fantastic memories for the kids. So what can parents do, or what can we provide our own children to support more play in our homes? Do you have any helpful tips for us?
Yes, one of the things I insisted on was actually open baskets or tubs of toys for my children, specifically building blocks. I ensured my living room is free from the coffee table in the center so that they have space they need. So I let my children use the dining table, the dining chair, blankets from their room in conjunction with the blocks or soft toys, then they'll build a castle and have imaginative play. I remember I had very little gadgets for them, just mainly loose parts. Thank God smartphones are not so popular back then. And even after they've grown up to the teens, I still kept those blocks because my friends in general, their children are younger than mine. So when they visit, I could use these to entertain the children. So, and for young children, actually, if you give them time, uh, boredom can actually encourage children to be creative too. I also recall a few times when someone sent over a toy, and when my son was still a toddler, he was having more fun with the box than with the toy inside. See, because the box are full of possibilities, you know, it's so open-ended. But this also means that your home will be in some state of a mess constantly. And when you have young children, that's the way it is, you know, they're just being themselves. So I set up baskets so it's easier for them to just put everything back to the basket without having to pack them nicely. I remember having small baskets of books in every room in the house too. And yes, that includes the kitchen and the toilet.
Books everywhere, indeed. These are great tips. Thank you. So there is another very common question that looms large for parents. And that is, especially when everyone's busy, is it the parent's responsibility to play with their children?
Well, yes and no. So I feel we should provide some basic structure, but at the same time, give children the autonomy to develop their own play independently. So remember that play should be something or a process that is enjoyable, something you want to do, and something that brings you joy and happiness. So if you have to play with your child, I mean, you should try to enjoy it too. Your child should not dominate play, and neither should you. Okay, when your child dominates the play, I'm not sure if you will enjoy it. I mean, and he can see that if you do not enjoy. And you're also telling him it's okay for him to insist his way. And when you dominate the play, you're not allowing your child to gain the benefits we talked about earlier. And so it should be a lot of give and take. And through playing with parents in this way, children will also learn to operate in this way with their peers. Give and take, negotiate, looking at it from the other person's perspective.
That is a great piece of advice. It's really true. You know, we probably do need to avoid dominating or driving everything, you know, with the children when we play. Great.
Yes, actually, many of the different forms of play I mentioned earlier are part of the Shaw's curriculum, like imaginative play when children create their own problem to solve, communicative play when they exchange ideas, mastery play when children do something repetitively during play and gain mastery of the act, you know, or the process. And through Shaw's play, children can develop 21st century skill set needed, and the knowledge they need comes in the form of the 6 learning areas, while the other 6 skills, collaboration, communication, problem solving, creative thinking, and confidence, are all part of essential life skills that children can develop through Shaw's play. Now, as an adult, we should allow children many opportunities to play. It actually fosters development in so many areas that no structured activity could fully offer. And when you choose to play with them, enjoy the process with them. They will pick that up from you and enjoy the process as well. Learning will then come very naturally.
Thank you so much for explaining how play helps build those essential life skills. We can see now that it's a child's job to play, just as it is for an adult, actually, too, right? We can do that too. Okay, everyone. So thank you to those of you that have written in. We've got quite a few questions here. So if we can just go ahead and go to the question and answer session here, Serina. Okay, give me just a second here. Okay. All right, first question. How do we bridge the gap when I have children who have a big age gap, like 10 and 4?
Yeah, I think the important thing is to let the children do what's appropriate for his or her respective age group and then collaborate. So this is a perfect way for them to play together, that's collaborative play, and learn how to socialize at the same time. So to help kickstart this collaborative process, it may be easier for parents to step in to facilitate play. So you see yourself as being invested in the play. So you can start by making suggestions, get the ball rolling, doing something to help your older child, and then rope in the younger one into the process and suggest ways the older child can do to include the younger sibling. So then again, your children model from how you facilitate and play with them.
Thank you. Okay, we've got another question here. How's my child going to learn math, numeracy through playing?
Okay, math. Okay, for young children, right, when it comes to math, it's all about understanding and being exposed to the concept. Okay, so okay, we'll take pizza making as an example, since I have my children baking pizza then. It's delicious and it's fun. So children are exposed to measurement, weight, volume while making the pizza, right? And after that, they get to eat. So how many slices can we cut it into? How many slices can each of us eat? And to this, the children are exposed to the concept of division and fraction. There are a lot of explorative play and mastery play here. And when you're exposed to these concepts at the early age, right, they're able to apply the idea and concept during formal learning. And we talk about primary school. So by then, will they be able to visualize what the teacher is talking about? You know, when she mentioned something about a quarter. A quarter now becomes something concrete to them because they'll be able to recall that, hey, I got to eat one piece out of the 4 pieces I cut out. So we want children to understand the concept, not just memorizing formula. A child who understands the value of 10 is better off than someone who can rote count to 1,000 without knowing what is the value of 1,000.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Okay. Okay, we've got another one here. Okay. It says, I only saw play as important for toddlers, but you have explained how important play is for the older children too, and how they learn and understand through play. How are teachers trained to teach through play?
Okay, in Singapore, teachers are trained to embrace play in children's learning, but in Shaws, we continue to provide teachers with numerous training opportunities, both in theory and on the ground. So a substantial part of my time is spent on training, supporting and checking that the teachers are using play appropriately in their lessons with the children. Naturally, as teachers are adults, a higher level of training is involved, specifically with the theoretical aspects. However, when it comes to trying it out, I mean, what better way for the teachers to experience play, isn't it? So some of the things that I've done with the teachers include teaching them a new language through game. I know a little bit of Korean, so I use this as an example to get them to experience how children would learn language. And when we had a workshop on IB, inquiry-based learning, I've used food tasting as the investigative activity. So for teachers to determine first to eat, taste, and find out what ingredient is in this guacamole that I made for them. And they were to figure out which is the taste that they like, they don't like. And then after that, they will research. They will find something that they want to target on and research on it. And then they came up with activities surrounding the ingredients. So they basically, I basically let the teacher play as well.
That's fun. And so they go through the paces themselves, right? And see what the children experience. Okay, that's great. Okay, we've got another question here. What if my child doesn't go to a play-based preschool? Will they miss out? Okay, I can tell there's some inquiring parents attending our talk today. This is a
question. It actually depends on your purpose for sending your children to school. Is it purely, is it to prepare them for life skills? Are you looking for a balance of both? If it is both, if you're looking for both, then actually fits them all. Just like what I've mentioned earlier in my talk, you know, how train children to be knowledgeable and yet have all the life skills that's needed. But in my personal opinion, being academically prepared will only see a child through school. But being prepared for life will see a child beyond school. So if you look at our entire life, right, only the first 20 to 25 years for most people are spent in school. The rest of our days, we are experiencing life. So it's quite straightforward it's my personal opinion that life skills should be given more attention. And as its name suggests, life skills carry a child through his life. So for now in school, through primary school education and beyond. Actually, Emilia, our curriculum director, will talk more about this in her talk next week on the Foundation for Success for Young Children. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Another question here. You're very popular today. Will my child...
I speak for Shaws, okay? So yes, children will be prepared as our school have the academic objectives in place with a play-based curriculum. So actually, if you look at it, right, primary school's concept has a lot of foundation on play as well. Although in the school context, they are doing play per se. Again, we use math as an example. So the concept throughout primary school is based on modeling. Okay, when you do math, you know, when I was in school, I was learning algebra. But they still, from day one, it's all about modeling. So the play concept, like the pizza play thing that we've been talking about, will help the child visualize what the problem is about. Yeah, so yes, they will be prepared, better prepared for primary school with play, actually.
Thank you. Okay, we have reached the end of our time today. Thank you to everyone who took the time to join us this afternoon. Thank you, Serina, for enlightening us on how important play is to children and to adults too, as we've learned. To those of you who we did not get to your questions, apologies about that. We will go ahead and contact you separately to answer your questions. And we do hope that all of you join us at our next webinar in the Ask the Expert series. That's going to be preparing our children for P1. That's going to be this Saturday, the 12th at 11 o'clock a.m. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. Have a good day.
So the play concept, like the pizza play thing that we've been talking about, will help the child visualize what the problem is about. Yeah, so yes, they will be prepared, better prepared for primary school with play, actually.
Thank you. Okay, we have reached the end of our time today. Thank you to everyone who took the time to join us this afternoon. Thank you, Serina, for enlightening us on how important play is to children and to adults too, as we've learned. To those of you who we did not get to your questions, apologies about that. We will go ahead and contact you separately to answer your questions. We do hope that all of you join us at our next webinar in the Ask the Expert series. That's going to be preparing our children for P1. That's going to be this Saturday, the 12th at 11 o'clock a.m. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and thank you again for joining us. Have a good day.